Welcome, Music Multiverse listeners. This is Beyond Your Radio, and it's time for another episode of What's in Your Ear? But before we move into the ears of our panelists tonight, if you're new to the channel or have yet to subscribe, please do so. We would hate for you to miss a moment, maybe a rant, or that next favorite album that you're going to be listening to. And if you've been watching, give us some comments. What albums you like, what albums you're listening to. Got a question for one of our panelists, like how do they put up with me and the pursuit of music that I have? And to the first people to like this video, our continued gratitude, because we don't have any prizes or any merchandise yet. But who's to say I might get that later, right? Yeah. It's got to be merch. It's got to be merch. We're going to be getting Beyond Your Radio tank tops for the boys. Yeah. No. Okay. Anyway, let's hope so. I want to get to that sooner or later. Our panelists have been listening to all kinds of music, and we can't wait to hear what albums they've picked for tonight. Jeff Young, Alex Kaluzny. Jeff Johnson did give me his picks. He's apparently in a power outage situation. Maybe I can't get a hold of him. I will do his picks so that everyone gets a chance.
How are you going to do picks?
He sent them to me already.
Doesn't he have to do it though? Like he's talking about what he's listening to.
Well, I can only tell you what he sent me. I can't tell you. I can tell you why he was listening to a couple of them because I know them very well. But one of them is not in my wheelhouse. But we'll see. It's impossible, obviously, to listen to everything, and you all know. Well, the 19 of you that are following us know that I certainly give it a shot. So the order I believe I've got is going to be Alex first, right? Yep.
So first I have Matt Mason's Bank on the Funeral. This was one that I took a long time to get to. I knew 3 of the songs on the album already from alternative radio around the same time that this album came out in 2019. And I liked all of them. And so I figured it was finally about time as we undertook this project. What albums had I not listened to yet that I really wanted to give a chance to, or as I just threw my playlist on shuffle, these songs came up and I realized they're all from the same one. So I said, all right, let's give this full album a try. I gotta say it lived up to it. It's a more folky alternative, a more mellower tone. You pay attention to the lyrics a lot more with this album. Led off very strong with I Just Don't Care That Much. It was a style that I yet to encounter from any artist in terms of just I wasn't expecting that to lead off given what I'd heard from the album already. And the rest of the way through from Tread on Me being a play on words, which was something that I really liked. Going back to when I listened to Midland in their full albums and how they like to twist the title that you see to what the lyrics actually are. I mean, really strong album, even from the visualization, because I tend to, when I look up a full album, I'll look at it on YouTube. And so you'll get a couple videos in there that you hadn't seen, or some lyric videos. So I try to pay attention sometimes when the artist puts those in, if I have the ability to.
What is it like?
It's like a folky alternative. So I compared it to Mark with like a George Ezra, a Hozier. Like if you kind of had all those types of artists playing on your patio and this was in there, it'd be seamless. I think Mark even said Noah Kahan, and I could kind of see that going with it too.
Well, so, yeah. I haven't heard it yet, but Noah Kahan did come up when Amazon said these are the other things people. Don't get me wrong, Amazon was trying to sell some other shit too, like they normally do.
But I could see that too. You know, it could definitely make a push to go in that same playlist with them. So, yeah, definitely highly recommend this one. Caught me off guard, and this was only his first album ever after 2 small EPs.
Okay.
And then he came out with one recently in 2022 that I have to give my next shot here. So,
okay.
But these one for one for me. So
2019, right?
Yeah. Yep. And I mean, just going into some of the backstory on him too. pull up my notes here. So I just kind of wanted to get a feel for the artist, and they talked about his early life, his parents being juvenile delinquents who later became musicianaries, eventually playing in Christian metal bands. Banned from listening to secular rock on the radio until he was a teenager, started playing the guitar at 15, performing at biker rallies, prisons, and his parents' ministry. His uncle, part of the same ministry, was murdered. And I gotta say, when you listen to the lyrics, you can understand why he's not afraid to go to some dark places in them. He covers those in a way that this, like, I listened to the one single from the album Cringe, was one of my favorites, and it just kind of puts me in that mode, where I can totally see where some of the background of that comes from too. So it's another little interesting note on him.
Nice. Jeff.
Why don't you go? Because you got to do two people. You should just go in between us both times. That way you're not doing it back to back. But you don't have to. So I'm picking my first one is Synchronicity from the Police from 1983. One of the first, I don't know, one of the first 5 or 10 cassettes I ever had. So it's their 5th and final album. And the album's title and a lot of the material for the album were inspired by a book, The Roots of Coincidence. This album was nominated for 5 Grammy Awards in 1984 after it came out in 83. And the album's cover had a series, like as you can kind of see, a series of photographs overlaid with the transparent horizontal, stripes. It has blue, red, and yellow.
Yeah.
The album was actually available in 36 variations of that, with different arrangements of the color stripes showing different photographs of the band members. I didn't know that.
That's one way to drive album sales right there. Collector's edition.
The most common version is has Sting in the middle reading a copy of Carl Jung's Synchronicity, which is
okay, I guess up at the top. Yep.
Yeah. It's on the front cover with the superimposed negative image of it. A photo on the back cover shows a close-up, but it's mirrored an upside-down image of that book. The original vinyl release actually was pressed on, it says audiophile vinyl, which appears black like most records, but actually is purple if you hold it up to the light. But this
I will have to look at that the next time I see.
I forgot this album had so much percussion in it. Like I totally forgot. Like, and for as many times as I listened to it, but then you're like, oh yeah, duh, of course. And the one song, Mother, it doesn't really come from, let's say, the previous albums had some of the more regular roots. Like it almost sounds more like punky to me. But just a wide variety of music. Clearly some of the most recognized songs from this album. But it was their final album, so it's just a good album.
Sting loves the hook. He's a hook guy, right? You got a few seconds to get my attention, and if the Police were ever anything, they were a get your attention. It could be the slow song, it still has your attention, still has the hook. You can go from Mother to Every Breath You Take to Dinosaur, right? I think that's the track.
Funny, like even so,
like Skrydenko. I mean, it's a flawless record. I can't think of anything wrong with that record.
It's just so fun to have an album that from the 80s that had almost like in many of the songs lead percussion as opposed to lead keyboards or lead guitars.
Well, Sting being a bassist, I think he understands. Loves percussion, loves bass. It's funny because Stuart Copeland just did a versions. I can't remember what it's called. I didn't like it at all. And Sting did Symphonicities, and that didn't do anything for me either. And he's done live stuff that's been fantastic. It just seems to me that I don't know, something doesn't work for me in the symphony side of this. Also with the Stuart Copeland, they're girls singing the album, they're singing the songs. I don't think they're very good. I don't know, just didn't work for me. But this album is their best. I think this is the drop the mic. The other ones are very good too. Got a lot of great stuff, but this one, I don't think anybody would put another record over this. I couldn't see it.
I'm in the minority. I'm not a big Police person. It just doesn't, not for me.
But how much have you listened to?
And I've listened to him. I couldn't tell you what I've listened to. I've just kind of thrown them on randomly to try to give it a chance. I couldn't recall exactly what I've gone through.
What about Sting?
His solo stuff?
Yeah.
I don't think I've done any of that.
All right. Well, if this is a work in progress, I would say if anybody was going to start with the Police, this is the only place to start. This has anything and everything you'd want, and then you can go back and go to the greatest hits maybe, and that Regatta de Blanc could be a hard listen.
One anecdote I will say is not on this album, but previous, obviously one of the most famous songs, Roxanne.
Mhm.
It starts out with just but, and then there's like that really quick piano, like bump that actually was recorded, and Sting actually accidentally fell backwards into a piano, and it wasn't supposed to be on there,
And
but
they
he kept
kept
it.
it.
Interesting.
So, Chef Jeff not being here, it's no surprise that once again he was listening to a Grateful Dead record. This one, Shakedown Street. Shakedown Street is probably the most popular. I believe that you can find all kinds of lovely merchandise, including the actual Shakedown Street for your bedroom or office. And I'm sure he probably has it. Anywho, I think people are pretty familiar with this record. It fits right in with everything they've done. And obviously the live versions of most of the tracks here are, much better than the album itself, in my opinion. I wish he was here to tell you anything else about it, but considering the deadhead that he is.
Well, let me tell you, I went to the concert in 1935.
He's probably seen the Grateful Dead at least 100 times. I don't even know what that's like to see someone. How many? Okay, quickly. Well, how many times? What band have you seen the most, and how many times?
I think the Trues for 9 times.
That's a lot of times. What about you, Jeff?
I think on accident I've seen Alice in Chains like 4 times.
Okay, I have seen
all opening bands, all as an opening band.
Yeah, I probably the most I've seen is probably the Headstones. That's got to be at least 6 or 7. Because when you see him with I Mother Earth, and you see him with 5440, and you see him with the Watchmen, Rusty, and I don't know. That just I know I've seen the Hip 5 or 6 times, but even that, those that's not a lot. I don't know, following a band, but I can understand why you'd see that band because of all the change and whatever they could play. I'm going old school. Well, is that old school? It's 1989, but Billy Squire.
That's
really
old school now.
Huh?
That's old school now.
Is it old school? Well, okay.
Pre-90s is old school.
He's just too damn good to pass up. Every year I'm heading into the 80s balladish, arena rock, I guess we'll call it. But he was really big from 1981 to 84. I've always been a sucker for this record in 89. It's just simple rock, the way he crafts his vocals, and it's easy listening. It goes down pretty easy when you're got your windows cranked and you're just driving, and it's Don't Say You Love Me. What else? I love that this album, any of his albums, the hits are the hits, so to speak, right? I think he never really like, it wasn't any number ones here, number ones there all the time. He wasn't a Billy Joel. He wasn't like that, but it always was to me that the record had deeper cuts there were better songs on this one. And this one's got God on it, which is a G-O-D. And then I love I Put a Spell on You. Trying to think if there's anything else that popped up, but obviously Don't Say You Love Me was the crazy song on there that went into the top 20s, and Rock Out and Punch Somebody and Stronger. So yeah, I wanted to start off here where this is just, it's not complex in any way, shape, or form. He knows how to put the guitar to his voice. Production is pretty much late 80s, early 80s ish. It doesn't sound as good today. But it still has its place in my heart. So I'll always pop that on, and it's any record really I could do. So, and I believe Chef Jeff has joined us, but I digress if he hasn't.
Gotta share the screen.
Hey, oh, look at that. He's in San Francisco, and he's growing bud on his head.
I have no idea how to change these damn filters. I'm sorry, guys. I was in the middle of something and I couldn't get in there. But
Okay,
I'm
well,
with you
here.
now.
I'm going to let you go back. I just introduced it, didn't say much. We're at your first one, which is Shakedown Street. So I mean, obviously people know the record to some degree. Why? It's always in your wheelhouse, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, this is for us deadheads out there. This was the first album that they ever made. I think it was their 13th or so, 12th or 13th. But we called it Disco Dead. It's not like any of the other. It came out, I believe, in '78. I have no notes because I'm on my iPhone, but I know the sound real. Dun 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 dun. That's the opening for Shakedown Street. Very, very good album. But it had so much disco elements in it. It was just crazy. I happen to love the album, and I always have. And a lot of deadheads won't even listen to it because they feel it's not the Dead. I just feel it's just another head of the snake. It's just
it's the second most recognizable album, is it not? They haven't had Shakedown Street. You can buy the sign.
Remember, they've only had 3 number ones in their whole life. They had Casey Jones, they had then they had Shakedown Street, and then they had Touch of Grey. Those are the only 3 Dead songs that ever made number one. And of all the ones that made number one, this was their most famous. Matter of fact, they did this that Shakedown Street song on Saturday Night Live in '78 when they came out.
Okay.
So I love it. It's always in my wheelhouse. It's especially if I want something bubbly, something light, non-spacey. They don't have any songs with space jams in or anything like that. It's just a really, really good album. It really is. It's in my wheelhouse. I love it. And if you guys out there have never heard it or afraid of the Dead because you don't want to listen to a 20-minute jam session, listen to this album.
I might be afraid of the Walking Dead, but I'm not afraid of the Grateful Dead. I'm also afraid of that filter. I'm afraid of that filter you have on, though. That I'm afraid of.
Well, as I said, I have no idea how to change it, and I have this.
It's just a happy fucking today.
I'm waiting for Weird Al's version of Shaun of the Grateful Dead to come out.
That would be good.
Could happen. So
just to get you where my first one was, Chef Jeff, I did Billy Squires Here and Now from 1989.
I know the album.
So And we're back to Alex for his second.
So this is just a fun album for me. 2008 Rev Theory's Light It Up. Forgotten album entirely. Forgotten band, pretty much.
Absolutely.
Not a half
Considering
bad name.
Yeah, not a bad name, right?
no, and considering their lead guitarist at the time of this album's making is now a repented Christian musician, I believe, still. Completely drastic 180 turn, on good terms with the band at least, but in his own way. And I know the band is definitely a lot different. They're more well known nowadays for being the artists of Randy Orton of the WWE's theme song. But aside from that, this album of theirs, once you get past the first 3 songs, because I think the second track, Favorite Disease, was also a hit too. I thought 4 through 10 down the line, it was actually a really powerful album. It has catchy riffs all throughout this. Rich does a great job with the vocals. My cousin actually did get a chance to be on tour with these guys, and I can tell you from having met them on 2 separate occasions, they're a great group of guys. Really fun to be around and a bunch of good dudes. So yeah, I know this album was their mainstream success because of the popularity of Blue Mountain State, the show, and Hell Yeah being the theme song. But this album, I stumbled upon the title track the other day and brought me down a rabbit hole of re-listening to this, and I said, all right, let's give it a go again. And it lived up, if not actually was like, whoa, why did I not appreciate this as much as I did when I was listening to it actively? So yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back again, but I actually have the promo copy from Jeff Myers that he dropped off at Record Theater back in the day after listening to it. I used to go to the Record Theater after he was done dropping stuff off. There was a second album, wasn't there?
Yeah, they came out with more stuff. Justice.
I'm
was
pretty
the other
sure I
one.
have another one. I couldn't find it.
Yeah,
I always
Justice
felt
was the
I
other
was
one,
getting
and that was pretty good.
Special.
Say again, Jeff?
I always felt like I was getting something special or something. I always prefer to get the one that said for promo use only. On it, you know.
Well, I liked it because it dropped the price from $11.99 to like $4 or $6.99, or if I was lucky enough, $3.99.
Yeah, that
don't
second
know.
album, Justice, wasn't bad, but it definitely wasn't this album. For sure. Yeah. And
Yeah.
funny you bring up Jeff Myers too, because I remember he spoke when I was at Fredonia for journalism. He came in on a couple different occasions and spoke to us too. He was a really nice guy as well.
Yeah, he's done as a writer now. He's working on his band. I have his album too. It's pretty good. It's got a hint of Tool, kind of progressive.
What's the name of it?
Anyway.
The band.
No, it's the Jeff Myers band, isn't it?
Oh. Seems easy enough to title it that.
Shoot, now I gotta find it. Now you're killing me. I have it.
That's for a later time.
I might, hey, if I put him on the show, maybe we get 10 more listeners. So
well, we got a new one in the screen below me here.
Yeah, I just Jeff is now he's a chameleon. Jeff, you're up next with
So I've got an EP from 1995 called Hidden Treasures from Megadeth.
Yeah.
So these are tracks that were only on motion picture soundtracks or tribute albums. So they were never released on the regular album, so they just put them all together. I mean, a lot of bands do that with their extra stuff. 4 of the tracks were actually released as singles. 3 were nominated for Best Metal Performance at the Grammy Awards. So some of the songs include like No More Mr. Nice Guy from Alice Cooper, which was part of Wes Craven's movie The Shocker. And that remake, that cover actually hit 13 in the UK charts. And then there was Go to Hell from the 1991 Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey.
Yes. There's a better one though. Get to the good one.
Then they had 99 Ways to Die, which was from Beavis and Butthead Experience, which also got a Grammy nomination. They had one called Breakpoint from Super Mario Brothers movie, the original one. And then Angry Again, which was in 1993's Last Action Hero, with Schwarzenegger.
That's the best
also
one.
Grammy nominated. I don't know how to say it. It's Diadems, Diadems. That's from Demon Knight in '95. But they also did covers like Paranoid for Black Sabbath. That came off of another tribute album. And they did Problems from the Sex Pistols.
Oh, I don't remember that.
So, I mean, it's a
Well,
good
yeah.
listen. I mean, no one would say it's their best work, but they're good songs. They rock. They're not as maybe complicated as some of the original stuff, but I always liked that collection of songs. Some of them were coming up, so I thought I'd use that one.
Yeah, I don't have that album. Huh.
The album cover looks like a map.
Yeah, I just don't have it. That's cool. I will have to oh, guess not. I have the Last Action Hero soundtrack though. Buckethead's on that. You got Alice in Chains. Can't go wrong. Can't. Chef Jeff.
Okay, American Rebel. I've been listening to Willie Nelson since I was in my early 20s, and I've never stopped. I've seen him. I can't even know how many times in concert. I went to One Farm Aid and stuff like that. But I like this album because it's a kind of a change for him. Plus, it's one of his newer albums. I believe it's 2022. But the song American Rebel is fabulous. There's a lot of great songs on this. And, the man's not going to be around much longer with us, no matter what. He has health problems and stuff, but he's in his, I think, early 90s. I believe he's 92, 93, I believe.
Yeah,
So
he's been around a while.
And he's still doing live concerts.
Yeah.
I'm just amazed. This album, I'm not even going to tell Mark to listen because how Mark feels about country. So,
Well, I listen when it's done right, and Willie has a tendency to do things on a country folk kind of feel sometimes. I love his album. Was it Tetro?
Yep.
Yeah. But then again, that was produced by Daniel Lanois. I'd have to look and see what this one is.
Willie has his own style. It's almost hard to even put him in a genre by himself. His singing, it can be very, very country, and it can be rock, or it
Yep.
can be a mixture of all the above. It's just where he wants to go with it. Now, my preference is I like his country element. I don't like all his songs that are rock because I don't think he pulls it off too well. I think he needs to buy a new guitar because anytime you come on the stage with 75 holes in your guitar, it's like he must have the money for a new guitar, So, but it's funny. Every time I travel, I make a bunch of songs to listen to, and Willie always has an album or two in my travel mix. And this is what I listen to on my flight over, and then the drives from Albuquerque, where I am, is about 4 hours. So I go through a few different, and the thing I listened to the other day, I listened to the whole album of American Rebel. So it's definitely in my ear right now. And I'm probably going to listen to it probably tomorrow. I have a little drive to take. Cool. And I don't know what happened. I screwed up with my avatars last time when I was with you guys. Like, I can't get rid of it.
I tell you what, that night in Delaware, is it Delaware? No, Maryland. And we haven't been the same since.
Yes, I'm growing things out of my head. So
I blame Baltimore, even though they had nothing to do with it.
Blame Baltimore. Don't blame Canada.
They're not even a real country anyway.
So my next one is Carla Werner. This is Departures. This is kind of her debut. This is where Sarah Slean meets Katie Lang in the vocal department. There's just such a carry to what the vocal and the emotion. It's handled in a very unusual adult contemporary vibe. Vocally, she's brooding yet beautiful in the register, using it, but she's careful not to, kind of be over the top. It's very well delivered in that regard. But there are no music hooks to this album whatsoever. Why do I tell you this? Because this isn't an easy listen. It's her inflection is worth your attention, despite the obvious disassociation with what you might expect production to be like. There's just no bridge, there's no hook. She delivers the songs. It's almost like I don't want to say this. You like you have to get immersed into it, or what's the word I'm looking for? I mean, it's sparse in some degree, but it's still a lot of guitar. I assure you there's a reason to get into the record, because what she's trying to do is what Coldplay wound up doing with their first record with Yellow, and I can't remember the title of that record for some reason. Their first record, which was more, it didn't have the overproduction of Brian Eno. Actually, the gentleman who did Coldplay's first record did most of the production on this one. He was the mainstream guy on this. Carla's an interesting listen. There's no question about it, but she has the vocal to pull it off. And it's going to, I can see where this pissed the record companies off, because there's no single. There's no lead single. There's nothing that defines, that would be radio play. I will tell you that the only reason I knew about her was because it was played in the store, at the record store. That record store that I was in had a different kind of clientele. He was not into playing heavy stuff, because most of his clientele was in the older age bracket. Don't get me wrong, he sold a bunch of other stuff online and that, but Bill and the CD Exchange, I've always thanked him for these kind of things. I would have known about Beth Orton had it not been for him, and other people in this type of genre of music. We'll call it alternative adult contemporary. Ooh, that sounds cool, doesn't it? Back to you, Alex, for one hell of a great album.
So the reason I had this album in my ear is not for the album itself. It's for the fact that I was actually listening to the EP that followed it. It was called New Wave, or I Miss New Wave, Beautiful Midnight Revisited. It was a 5.
Well, it did. Okay, so it didn't follow it. It's way. It's he remade this like further on down the road.
Well,
it
yeah,
didn't come right out right.
Followed it. It was after it. That's more or less what I mean.
In the records of this new wave, I Miss New Wave, these different versions, we'll call it, they didn't come out till a few years ago.
Right. It came out in 2017. They were songs that he thought could be improved or reworked to reflect greater maturity or more technical restraint. Yeah. That was the background behind that. I don't actually have this album on my phone, but I have those 5 songs. So occasionally I'll get on a kick of hearing those and go, I need to go back to the album. Hence why that was in my ear this week. Those came up in the shuffle, and I actually started with comparing those two side by side. But I didn't know it was, what's up?
You're picking Beautiful Midnight.
Yeah. Started with the EP that came after it, went back to this and re-listened to it. So for the show, I didn't realize that, and we were talking about this before we started recording, that this could be a concept album of sorts. Debatable on your definition of concept album, but did not realize that each song on the album represented a 1 hour period leading from 5 p.m. till sunup. So thought that was an interesting way that I might have to even re-listen to the album, thinking of the hours passing as I go through it, which is a perspective I didn't take from it initially. So would be an interesting one, but us being Canadian music fans over here, this definitely fits the quota for the show. Fantastically written album, and forever one of my pump up songs for hockey growing up, and currently is still Giant. So,
which was on your list of top song. So Matthew Good is he's what do they call that, lyricisms?
And I did get to see him live finally.
Good.
I did get to see him when he traveled to Art Park. Had to be 7. It said it was in 2017, and I don't think it was, because I don't know if I was home around then.
At Art Park?
Yeah, and the reason I say that,
see him in.
Well, the reason I say that's because to support that EP, which we have the physical copy at our house, it says he played Beautiful Midnight in full, and I remember him walking out on stage to Giant and leading off the concert with that. So part of me wonders if it was then. So, and the other thing I learned from that too is on the EP, one of the tracks was titled, let me pull it up here. So Load Me Up for Dale Jr. in parentheses, did not realize that Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s favorite artist is Matthew Good. Not a connection I would have made between the nationality of Matthew Good and being a race car driver from the South in Dale Jr. So
Matthew Good is almost a stream of consciousness singer, lyricist. One of the things that I've always what's always drawn me to him is that he's a dark individual.
mhm.
Obviously, I believe he has some issues.
Dark,
I'm not
negative,
being-
cynical.
I'm not making fun of it. I believe he's his own worst critic. He's talked about albums that he can't stand, and they're albums I love. I don't know how he hates Audio of Being, but he does. Even in one of his concerts, he even says it's lovely to have a back catalog of your shit, right? Your worst moments. And I'm like, really? God, wow, you're real hard on yourself.
Well,
this
look at
album,
Pony Boy could have been on this album, and he didn't even release it till In a Coma came out.
In a Coma, yeah.
that
There's
was
a lot of
greatest hits.
in the early days of his, which I have cassettes of. It's just him and acoustic guitar, and if you've ever been to a show of that, because I've been to different shows where he's been by himself and when he's with a band, it's a totally unique experience when he's by himself. It's a little bit more what they call it, storyteller-ish, right?
Yeah.
And when you get things stripped down, you get to hear the lyrics a little bit better in that period. This album is too long for me. An hour and 5 minutes, it loses me toward the end, even though it tries, it puts songs in that are really good. But the way it begins between Giant, Hello Time Bomb, Strange Days, I Miss New Wave, Load Me Up, Failing the Roach Test, and Suburbia, which is so underrated. It's definitely, he's one of those Canadian artists that I think most Canadians know about and appreciate, but have maybe a love-hate relationship. But past our line of was that latitude or longitude? Latitude. I don't think he's known anywhere else ever, because it's just not.
Well, and he definitely, it goes to what you were saying about him being his own worst enemy in this case too, because he never played nice with the popular side of things. He never tried to promote himself. He always clashed with media in that sense too, and there's some stories about that you can find. So he never helped his own cause where he could have gotten bigger, but just didn't. And
really good shows. And if you ever want to see him, he does play here in Buffalo quite a bit.
Yeah, and he's
great pick. Jeff Young, I'm pretty sure you were the guy who put this album to me first.
What are you talking about? Oh, okay.
I think you showed me this out. I didn't know what was until you showed me. I think it was this and I Mother Earth at the same time, maybe. And
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Is this your favorite of his or not?
What's the one before that with the?
Is it Underdogs?
Yeah, that's awesome too. I mean,
That would have been, that was the other one too.
That's the
See,
first
comes
one.
with me.
Okay, so my favorite is Avalanche.
yeah, they're all great.
Bless
I
you.
mean, I don't know if
Yeah.
I can pick a great. Like, I just think Underdogs first because that's probably the one I heard the most because it was the first one I ever listened to. But
Right.
yeah, they're all great. I mean,
See, if it's not that or Underdogs, I typically tend to gravitate towards Vancouver from his solo stuff.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, this is true. This is the Matthew Good band. We should also state that he dropped
Yes.
the band. It was just Matthew Good, and he brought. As a matter of fact, I think one of his guitarist left to play for 5440 when 5440's guy died from an overdose. Jeff Young, bring us back.
so from 1980, I picked Back in Black from AC/DC. It's been popping up on my Pandora quite a bit, and this album has like 5 legendary songs. So, what's funny is like between Bon Scott and Brian Johnson as the lead singers, 2 great vocalists. But when you think of other bands that have had 2 vocalists, someone says to you Van Halen, the natural next question is, which do you like? Do you like Van Hagar or David Lee Roth Van Halen? No one ever says which AC/DC do you like. They're just all awesome,
Right.
But so Bon Scott died while they were making this album, and Brian Johnson I saw on a YouTube clip where he was on Howard Stern where he explained how he got the job. He was in his 30s, living at home, still in a band, and he said he had told his parents, "I'm giving the 2 weeks. If not, I'm going to go open up an auto shop." And so 2 weeks later, he opened up an auto shop, and he was working at his shop when he got a phone call from this woman, and she said, "I'm representing somebody who wants to try you out as their lead singer," but she wouldn't tell him who it was. He finally got her to admit it was AC/DC, and he had actually already had scheduled a 5-hour trip to that town because he was going to do a jingle for a commercial. And so he said at that
What
point,
commercial is that?
I don't know what it was, but he said he went and did his little jingle, and then he literally only had to walk across the street. And he almost didn't. He almost just went home because he had to get home so he could open up a shop. He's like, "All right, I'm only here once. I'll just go across the street." He goes across the street, meets the band. Angus Young hands him a pint of beer, and they just start drinking a little bit. And it's just kind of, he had said that the first song he ever wrote, they played like a couple cover tunes and some of their stuff as a kind of a trial, and he said the first song he ever wrote was "You Shook Me All Night Long." And after it was finished, and they were listening to it, he was feeling pretty confident, and he's like, "I think this might be the best rock song I ever heard." And he said that Angus looked at him and said, "You might be right." And, of course, it's one of their biggest songs. I actually saw them on the Razor's Edge tour in Buffalo, where King's X opened for them. And one more, just kind of an anecdote. You know how like Angus always kind of adopted the characteristics of wearing like the school uniform.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't his first choice. He had tried, like that was his sister's idea to do the school uniform, but he had tried other costumes such as Spider-Man, Zorro, a gorilla, and a parody of Superman named Super Ang.
Super A.
So,
Zorro would have been fun.
I saw them twice. Both times they were fantastic. Razor's Edge, yes, and what was it, Ball Breaker, when they came out the Wrecking Ball, and
what changed me for them, at least in my growing up, where it really dawned on me the power of this band was the music video for Thunderstruck. Because there was a phase in the early 2000s as I was getting into various kinds of music where it was all about the video.
That's a locker room song, man.
But there was Eminem's Without Me, that always stood out from that time period of me diving into music videos. There was Linkin Park's was it, I wonder if it was In the End was the video that I'm thinking of. I can
Probably.
know it if I'd know it if I looked through, but I don't think that that was it. But regardless, and then Thunderstruck, seeing the people up in that back section on the rails, man, just enjoying the shit out of that song.
It's hard to believe that here's Back in Black, right? Which is probably,
and I'm not even talking Thunderstruck in general. That was just what put me into how big this band was.
yeah. Well, but you're talking about, look at that, right? Back in Black. Is that the greatest heavy rock album ever made? It's in the top 5.
It's got to be in contention. Yeah.
Right. Yet their greatest song isn't on there. You know, the one that went biggest is probably Thunderstruck, right?
Right.
It's cataclysmic. You know, this is probably, it's funny how Back in Black, right? And then Metallica's Black Album is probably in here, right? Maybe. It's just cool that somebody further on down their career, not even, and my wife's still to this day, her favorite Christmas song is Mistress for Christmas. Well,
You know, for as big as AC/DC is on this side of the world, on the other side of the world, they're like 10 times more popular.
oh God, yeah.
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 And, you know, I
And that's
remember
crazy to think about.
when I was in college, I had an internship with a local professional soccer team that played in the same place with the Memorial Auditorium where the Buffalo Sabres were. It was the Buffalo Blizzards, indoor soccer team. They had boards and glass, and it was fun. But they brought in players from other parts of the world that would play in their off season, you know. And one of the guys was, I think it was either from, I think it was from Wales, but I remember his name was Ralph Black. He was an older player, you know, getting towards the end of his career, but I used to do the media game notes, and he was coming back from injury. He had missed like most of the year. So on the cover of the media game notes for the media, I wrote Back in Black because his name was Ralph Black.
Yeah.
And after the game, he comes up into the office and he's asking everybody. He's got his name. He's like, "Who did this? Who did this? Who did this?" I thought, "Oh man, I'm in trouble. I didn't ask him for
kill you."
And I go, I did that, Ralph. And he goes, "This is awesome. This is my favorite band in the entire world. This has always been my favorite band." He goes, "I got to get more copies of this. I got to send it to my family." And it's like, "I need more copies of this." I'm like, "Yeah."
I wonder if he got it signed by the band.
You know, it's just like something that little, just like something done like on a copy machine, you know, just because it referenced like AC/DC, like for him, you know, a pro soccer player, like was just the most important to him.
Yeah.
I was at a karaoke bar in Japan, in Tokyo, and went in there to have a drink and just listen to Japanese butcher American songs. And in the 2.5 hours I was there, half the songs were played for AC/DC. They had their whole catalog, and to listen to guys try to
Sing like Buns. Yeah.
sing
Please give me Japanese people singing Big Balls. That'd be freaking hilarious.
It was one of the funniest things and that I have ever seen in my whole life. Because most of these guys were probably in their 50s or older Japanese businessmen in their suits and everything else like that. So it was very, very hilarious. But I have been all through Europe, and I have seen a lot of references to AC/DC, especially in clubs and stuff.
Doesn't take much sake to get you up on a stage.
Hell with sake, they drink 25-year-old scotch. So
in the movie Black Rain, were they singing AC/DC? No, right? I'm not.
I don't know.
Garcia and Michael Douglas. I know Garcia. They were doing some song, but I don't think it was AC/DC. Anyway, we will now move to Chef Jeff.
Okay, well, this album I have been listening to for 20 years. And I probably listen to it once a month or more. It is not one of our normal albums we bring up here. because it's got 18 songs and 18 artists. It's basically a compilation album. It's called One Hit Wonders, classics from the stars who made them.
From
Basically-
KTEL Records.
Basically, yes.
Yeah,
You
man.
too can have for $3.99. But it had every song on this album was #1. And every song on this album was the group's only #1. Period. These guys who did these songs, they were all good songs in my mind. I'm going to read them off in a little bit. I want to see how many you guys know, but because everyone was #1 in the 60s, 70s, and some just a little part of the 80s. But it's one of those songs. Every one of these have a catchy tune to it, and
Who is it?
you might not know the song, but if you heard it on the radio, you go, "Oh, I remember this."
All right, so you're testing us. Go ahead.
Okay, the first one, I'm going to give you the artist first because most of you won't know them. A few
the
you
artist-
will.
No.
Okay, B.W. Stevenson. He had one hit, My Maria.
Nope.
Unless Brooks and Dunn sang it, I'm
No. If I could play it, which I can't, you would understand it.
Okay.
And then another one that came out, I believe it was in 72 or 73, called In the Summertime. In the summertime.
Yes.
I know this.
Who sang it?
Mungo Jerry.
Oh boy, I would have never known. Jerry needs a better first name, or it should be Jerry Mungo.
No, that's his real name, Mungo. Jerry's
God
left.
dang it, Mungo. Wow.
M-U-N-G-O, Jerry.
Yeah, you should have put him on the freaking. That's your band name.
And Mungo was
Still
his name.
happen in the future.
Mungo was his name.
Okay, the next one. Paper Lace is the name of the band. And the song is The Night Chicago Died.
Yes.
The other two, nope.
Yeah.
The Night Chicago Died. Da-da-da.
Yeah, music died. But
Okay, another one.
That was the day the music died. See, this is Night Chicago. The
I know.
music died in the day. Chicago dies at night. And I think Texas dies in the morning. I don't know.
Yeah, something like that. The next one, you might remember a song because I think it was covered a couple times after, but the original songwriter, and lyricist was Peter McCann. The song is "Do You Want to Make Love?" I believe it was covered a few times. Next is Alan O'Day and Undercover Angel.
Sounds
Undercover Angel, da 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 da.
familiar.
No.
I don't know. Was that was in that Bill Cosby spy television show? Maybe, I don't know.
No, it was just a song that one's from the early 60s.
Okay, yeah, I'm out on that one. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. Can't know all of them. And then
Hell no.
I know this one well. This is R.B. Greaves. Take a letter, Maria, da 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 da, send it to my
Oh, boy.
wife.
Man, these
That's-
people love
that-
Maria.
Yeah, these Maria's everywhere. Damn.
This is about this song is about a guy.
A woman named Maria.
No, well, no, about Secretary
Hey,
Maria.
take a note,
that has to
Maria.
send
Yeah,
a
take your.
letter to his wife that he's leaving him for the secretary. So
Oh, okay.
Did you skip over a song? Because I pulled this album up and I've got number 6 is More by Andrea.
oh, more. I did. You know what?
I know
did
that
skip
one.
it.
Right? Is
More,
that
more. Yes, with
more.
See,
How do you
Andrea
like
True.
it? How
If
do
I
you
see
like
more,
it?
I feel like it should be followed by With a Rebel Yell. And then I'm singing a completely different song.
Yes, you are.
Okay. So the next one, I think most of you should know it's from a movie soundtrack. It was a very famous movie. And unfortunately, right now, it's not coming here. but
That's all right.
but it's the original Castle is the name of the group, and it's One Tin Soldier.
Nope.
If you
Sounds familiar, but I can't think it.
if I could think of the name of the band, you guys would. Somebody out
For the-
there in
you
the
mean the
comments,
movie? I
please
don't-
give us an answer to that, please.
The original Cast is the name of the band. CASTE I have.
I have CSTLE.
It's Billy Jack.
I'm sorry.
It's the theme from Billy Jack.
Yeah, Billy Jack. Yeah.
And it says that One Tin Soldier is by the band, the original Cast, like the Cast system, CASTE.
You know, it's possible. I'm trying to focus because I'm in no light right now.
But yeah, this is like cool to
You're
go
in
back
orbit.
in those.
I don't know. The atmosphere behind you really shows like it.
The One
it'd
Tin
be brightening
Soldier, I
things
guess
up.
what it's coming back to me was something else. Toy Soldier was coming to my head
Yeah. One
by
Tin
that
Soldier.
female artist.
Okay, next one, number 9, is Yellow River by Christie.
I thought there was a follow-up to Frank Zappa. No, I don't know that one. Got Yellow Snow becomes Yellow River. I don't know.
Yellow River, Yellow River. Anyway,
I ain't drinking
I
out
know
of that
all of
river,
these.
nor am I wading in it, nor.
Okay, the next one is I believe these guys actually had 2 hits, but I think it came on after the album did. The group is Sugarloaf, and it's Green Eyed Lady.
Yes.
Green Eyed
Yeah, I know that
Lady, lonesome lady. Well,
I got nothing.
yeah,
one.
yeah. I expected this actually. So now there's a very good chance, since this has been in so many movies, including the Guardian of the Galaxy, the last one.
Oh, really?
This is a huge song. This was number 1 for almost a year.
Brown Eyed Girl.
Nope. Looking Glass, Brandy.
Okay. Yeah.
Brandy, you're a fine girl. What a good life you would be.
I
My
had
singing
myself
sucks,
muted so
but-
I could listen to this. Because I feel like I should know this only because
Oh,
Apple
you
Music-
had
Apple Music
Because
has
the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Apple Music
Yeah,
has
exactly.
this as the most popular song on the album, based on people who purchased it off the album.
oh
Yeah.
this
So
this
that
song
makes sense.
was
That
so
makes
Comic
sense
book
why.
People are our age, not your age.
Mark.
I know.
Mark, you know this song, don't you?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought so.
Yeah. I didn't see the movie yet, but I'd like to.
Hey, Jeff, have you seen? You know the song at all?
If I heard, I probably would recognize it.
I'll sing it
you
to you
saw the
after we
movie.
go
Was
off
it in the
air.
movie? Did you see Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yeah, I've seen it, but it wasn't super memorable. But yeah,
Okay.
What did you see the new Guardian?
not the new one. I have not seen the new one.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought you
It-
saw the new one. I'm sorry. I thought
It's
you
in
saw
the new one. You can't miss it because it's the first song you hear, and then they play bits and pieces all through the movie.
How
So-
ass backwards is this? You can buy all 18 songs individually for 99 cents, or just buy the album for $6.
Oh,
Oh,
you
this
go
is
to Apple Music
KTEL,
and get it for
Man,
free.
you got KTEL records. Jeez, I have tons of KTEL records and from my dad's collection and stuff.
Oh no,
They
I
were-
just
they
I
were
just
like
love
one
the
of the big
logic
two.
there.
Crazy.
Okay, the next one, number 12 on our list.
How
is
many are there?
The group is called
Oh,
Climax.
unfortunately, there's 18.
We're getting through there. Hey, I could have picked a double album. Okay.
Yeah, it's true.
The group is Climax, and the name of the song is Precious in View.
I
Wait a
feel
minute,
like
that's Climax
so
Blues
familiar.
Band, right?
Excuse me.
Climax Blues Band. Precious
No,
Few-
Climax. Climax Blues Band is a different band, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, I've just got Climax, which those are precious and few in my 30s.
Precious and Few is a coma da 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 da. Okay, and now the next one, go to number 13, R. Dean Taylor. Indiana
that one.
wants me. Lord, I can't go back there. Indiana wants me.
Who the fuck wrote this? Me?
Indiana wants you.
God, I
That's a
can't go
lonely
back
fucking
there.
state,
God,
man,
this
I'm
sounds
telling
like
you.
me. I think I wrote this song. That was not from the 60s. That was actually me just 2.5 years ago.
Yeah, you were trying to get the hell out of there.
Hell, I wrote that shit at Mark's house over the summer.
Well, that's plagiarism then. So
Yeah, well, you're going down.
No, they are. I lived this.
I lived it. Yeah, I wonder if they were even from there.
the next song, number 14. I know the song just barely. I couldn't even hum it, but it's called "When I Die" by Motherlode.
Don't know
That's
that
what
one.
happened to me if I stayed in Indiana.
I'm going to go through these fast to get rid of this. The next one, number 15, is Brewer and Shipley. One toke over the line. One
Not
toke
gonna know that.
over the line, sweet Jesus. One toke over the line.
That's what year is that?
66.
Okay, sounds like
That was a
66.
great song. It really was. And then the next one, and I would be surprised that you guys know any of these really, because they were literally one-hit wonders. The song might be memory and make memories, but the band's name is usually just obscured. Anyway, the next one is Motorcycle Mama by Sailcat.
Yep.
And then
I didn't know Sailcat though, but Motorcycle Mama, yeah, for sure.
Yep. And then the last song I'll ever write.
That's not the last
for
song on there.
you. Huh?
If that's the last song, is the last song. Boy, they did that perfectly.
No, it isn't. We got one
No,
more.
it's the
Sorry.
second to last.
Okay,
Yeah.
there's a bonus track.
That was Edward
God
Bear.
damn it,
And
there's
the
a
last
bonus
one,
track. Oh,
Love grows where my rosemary goes,
oh
and
gosh,
nobody
that's right.
knows for sure.
Man, these were
That's
all over the place. They're not even in a genre.
Edison Lighthouse.
I would have never known that.
You should have all these in your collection, Mark.
No, I shouldn't. No, I shouldn't.
At least I know your birthday present this year.
Yeah. Oh, good, great. I hate. You know what? My dining room table needs coasters, so that'll be good.
What does Mark
Get it-
hate?
get it.
Compilation albums. What are we getting?
Gonna have to get
all
bigger
compilation albums. You know what? Just for that, I'll let Sheffrey get you that. I'm gonna somehow start fundraising and crowdsourcing to get you all 90 something of That's What I Call Music.
Oh yes, K-Tel. Give it to me, baby.
K-Tel Records. Only $19.99.
Hey man, is that Freedom Rock?
Oh, turn
it
that
up.
shit up.
Yeah, so I have been listening to this album for nearly 20 years. I call this comfort. This is like chefs have comfort food. This guy, comfort.
Yeah.
I dare any of you to listen to this album. Dare you.
I need to get paid. I'm sorry, I need to get-
And Apple rates this a 2.5 out of 5 stars. Oof.
Somebody was generous.
Out of 516 reviews, that's the average.
I mean, I like some of the songs. It's the in-betweens that I'm a little worried about. Like it's genreless, right? It's kind of like where like somebody vomited.
Oh, no,
and-
I think this is all pop, American pop.
There's a chance when I die, my hell loop is just Indiana Wants Me on repeat.
Ooh, dude, you gotta get to heaven then. That doesn't sound good. Doesn't sound good. Don't get out of that whatever vehicle they have in heaven. You know, or
Okay,
hell.
well-
You'll stay.
Okay, Mark, get us out of this hell.
So I'm gonna get us out of this hell with a little statement. You know how Bruno Mars says Uptown Funk won't give it to you? Here's the beauty of this. Corey Wong will give it to you. Then he'll hit you over the head with a whole lot of other stuff. Corey Wong is and could be this genre shaper in the rock, jazz, fusion, funk. Okay. Why do I say this? Because the funk, he brings it like Prince, and he can play the guitar pretty damn close. Then he can give you an upbeat progressive rock jazz throwback, or forward, maybe a la John Mayer, which is not an easy task. Or he can go all out instrumental progressive jazz rock fusion with heavy synth keyboard with a flavor and groove like Earth, Wind, and Fire. He's got musicians from Snarky Puppy, probably the best touring jazz band you can see at this time with him, as well as Canadian Randy Bachman's find. Her name is Lindsay L. For one of the songs, Lindsay L is considered one of a brilliant songwriter and multi-musicianalist. And then there's more guests. Chromeo, Billy Strings, or Nate Smith. Yeah, you want your bluegrass? You want your swagger Nashville rock? He'll give it to you. Oh, and guess who else is on this record? Bella Fleck from Bella Fleck and the Flecktones. If now you get an idea, there's going to be picking all over this record now too, along with this swagger and saxophone. The improvisationalism on this record is off the charts. The energy is crazy and it's cool. It goes from, like I said, from funk to jazz to rock. This is up Jeff Johnson's alley. I can tell you that right now, except maybe the keyboard stuff that kind of goes on maybe.
I like keyboard.
It's kind of goes into that.
What's that?
That bad late '70s. Remember, I love Herbie Hancock, but the sex something album, where it has that keyboard that's just way too much. That was the only drawback for this. This is a record worth going down the rabbit hole for all the multi-instrumentalists and singer-songwriters on this record. One of the ladies is considered the best is it sitar players in the world. She's played at the White House, and she's on the record. Corey Wong is a powerhouse, and this album is called Power Station, and it's from 2022. I heard a gentleman speak the other night about seeing Corey Wong live just a few weeks ago, or maybe a week ago. So the lineup was Pat Metheny, why can't I think of the name of the band? But Hiromi was on there with him too. So Hiromi's this classical jazz juggernaut. He said Corey Wong blew him away, and this guy loves Jethro Tull and all kinds of jazz rock. That's, he loved Pat Metheny too. He was just stunned by how good this kid is, and I believe him now that I've heard this record this week, and I'm going to be going down further rabbit holes. And for that, I had a prop. Where the hell did it go? This is Corey Wong with Dave Koz that I just got out of the library. I don't know what to expect out of that, but this kid has no genre that he doesn't want to attack or do anything with. That it's crazy. So if you're into this kind of stuff, this is where you want to be. This is the new face of jazz, progressive rock, and funk. It's got it all. So on that note, I will thank my panelists for this What's in Your Ear. Hopefully there's been some exposure besides the 18 songs that we had to endure from Jeff's last pick.
Which now we'll rate. We'll rank them right now.
Yes, that's right. In order.
Hey, be nice.
Jeff, by the way, I didn't hear what you said earlier too, while Mark was talking.
I was going to ask you what the Apple rating was, since you were already doing the Apple ratings for us, but that's okay.
No, I just found some album that I am curious about because it's got a weird vintage look to it that I might just listen to and probably get annoyed by after 3 songs that I now found on Apple Music that I might play that just came out. So
we're on the web at www.beyondyourradio.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Of course, we want the like, the comment, the subscribe. But what was in your ear? What did you get out of this? Maybe there's going to be some followers here tonight that are going to back Jeff Johnson's 18 tracks up. Maybe somebody has those albums. Maybe there were deeper cuts that were better, and just didn't take. But anyway, I thank everybody again and happy listening.